everyone. Welcome to another Wolfram Language Design Review for version 14.1. Let's see, we are looking at question objects. And what's the main point here? Is this design refresh or something different?
Design refresh of the existing interfaces and then new interfaces. So there's a couple sections here.
Okay.
So this first section is the existing interfaces that we've had for a couple years and just sort of refreshing the look, making it a little bit nicer. When we first put it out, we wanted to get the functionality out there and didn't really spend as much time on it.
I don't have an opinion about these. It looks fine. I mean, one of them is bigger than the other, but I don't know what that means.
Everything got a little bit bigger. Fonts changed a little bit. The check marks and stuff are that screenshot on the top one is inaccurate. That's not actually what it looks like now. I think it must be front end resources that are auto updating there. Okay, so right, the buttons.
Is this what happens automatically, or is this the show explanation thing?
That's show explanation. It starts closed and you open it up. Right, it should work in there even if you want to play with it. So multiple short answers, is much nicer looking. The buttons before were kind of crazy small, and now it's nicer. Right, it's reverse closed if you want to see the code. Why is this slow at all?
Is this supposed to work or not?
Yes. I don't know why it's slow at all.
Why was it so slow?
It shouldn't be. I mean, it's doing an entity value. It's doing interpreter of planet.
Okay.
But that, okay. I don't know. Maybe that goes to alpha, I guess. But
it shouldn't be that slow.
It shouldn't be slow even if it goes to alpha, right? Right, multiple choice grid. We used to have the values here. We're just like repetitive.
So this is copy pasting a assessment result object.
Assessment result object. The code is there. It's reverse closed. That cell if you want to get the
Okay, but what am I supposed to copy paste this into?
A notebook. I mean, it's Wolfram language content. So
okay.
Right. So this one kind of always looked ugly because the values are repeating. So now we're just turning them into column headers, which works pretty well. If you scroll down a little bit more.
That's reasonable enough.
Yep. All right. So that's just sort of the refresh of existing interfaces. And then we have new interfaces. So we have one that we named click locations that we've talked about for a while, where you give a background image and the solution to the question is pixel locations in that image. So it's just an interface for choosing pixel locations.
And how does the marker? Can I try it?
Yeah. Did you delete the definition of stoplights and points in this?
It's broken in 14.1. We were talking about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, we used image cases to get the points, and there's a bug with image cases right now. There was code in here that generated it, but we could have faked it. So obviously stoplights and points is not defined. I
see. Okay.
If we really care,
how do we
see it to you later?
Yeah, how do we see the thing on the image? What color do we use for an image?
Right. So that's one thing it says right there, work in progress, adding custom locators. Right now, there's one on there on the right stoplight, and it's black, and you can barely see it. But Billy has a spec for a locator that has it's kind of, I don't know, black with a white shadow, white with a black shadow. I don't know what the right terminology is, but it has black and white, and you can see it pretty much on any image.
Do you believe in that, Jeremy, Billy, etc.? Do you believe in that claim?
Yeah, I think that fits what we've done.
Okay.
I'm sure you could have some sort of contrived, really small chessboard image where it's bad, but any real image is going to be fine.
Okay. Any real image, this thing is sufficiently unreal that you can see it against a real image.
Right.
Okay.
And then this one, which we're called, this is the labeled version of click location. So that one above was unlabeled. It's, just click all the some things in here. And this one, each item has its own name and you have to drag them around. Obviously, we have issues with the width here that Camila's working on right now.
Is that an issue in this particular case, or is that a general issue?
I think it's a general issue for this interface, right?
Do we know how to solve it or not?
Yeah,
Camila,
that's an issue for that example, but it's working properly on other examples.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we can find a solution by we're sort of inspecting the content and sizing intelligently. And then this is the next new interface that we call drag categorize. So all the items, and you can evaluate this one, just doesn't depend on anything else. So all the items start in this, what we call like the default zone in the left. And then you drag them into the proper category.
Not a lot of great feedback here. And I guess I'm just dragging it and it's sitting there. I guess that's okay.
Yeah. Well, the colors and fonts.
Oh, I see. Now when I click it again, when I just click there,
it's going to give you the
closest. It's a little weird.
Item.
I mean, at least the cursor should change. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
At least when you're dragging, when you're over one of these things, I would think you should have a different cursor. I don't know what cursor should be, but it should be different. Just so it's like, hello, I'm paying attention to you.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Probably the hand, right? I mean, that's what you're using at the top there, to kind of indicate what you need to do.
Okay.
Yep. That makes sense.
Nice. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then here's another case where you are specifying custom labels. So if you can, again, the input is reverse closed. So you can see that there's this labels property in the question interface, which is different. So it's not just taking the string owl from the assessment function like the one before. It's using a custom label.
Yeah, I get it.
Bob, what happens if you straddle the line? Do you get any feedback of which zone it's in?
I think it's going on the center. Is that right, Camila? Or is it? Yeah, but there should be feedback. You're right.
Some hover of, some highlight of the area you're about to drag into would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good thing for all of these. Look, in this case, as you drag here, the whole prime area should kind of light up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that way, if you're dragging on a boundary, one of them is going to light up and the other isn't.
That's a good idea. We will work on it. If we can't get it into 14.1, we'll do it on the next one because that might mean a significant change of the implementation.
Okay.
This is one that came straight out of CBM. So this is one they use already, and we're basically reusing their code and putting it into the system properly with, but
I think it could do is, again, some more visual feedback as the thing is clicking into place. I really think you need to flash things to indicate where it's going, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think this is sort of standard UX technology. I mean, the functionality is nice, but I think you really need more. I can't tell what's happening there, right? So I'm moving this down, and somehow it's very obscure that just went in that place. I think there's some, I think there's some simple UX that will help this. I don't know what the usual way of indicating that you have finished your action on a list reorder. But whatever that is, we should have.
I'm trying to think of what it is, but I can find out.
Okay.
Again, I think that a hand would probably help here as well for the mouse cursor.
Yes.
And then we have these three fill in the blank type ones. So one is what we call text completion, where you just type in and straightforward. You can have multiple. These just show one blank, but you can obviously have multiple blanks. And let's see. All right, this is just showing a slightly more interesting example with the bear.
Okay.
And then the second fill in the blank is what we call select completion, which by default is drop-down menus.
I see. Okay.
Right. And the important thing here is not so much the interface, the controls on the interface, but in this case, the teacher is providing a set list of possibilities for each field. Right. So
let's give choices directly.
Right. So in the first one, the values that
that was
appear
in
are
math.
inferred from the assessment function. This one, the only thing in the assessment function is the correct answer. So you have to tell it what, and then then it can be ragged. It's not always 4 and 4, not always the same length. And then here's something with no assessment, just showing custom labels.
Okay.
And then the last fill in the blank is this one that's similar to the drag categorize we had above, but where all the values are in this sort of default zone to start with. So here, it's one common set of possible values instead of each field having its own set of possible values.
I see.
Right. And you just drag them in.
This is all quite nice.
Yeah. And then I guess at the beginning of the meeting, I said there were 2 main sections here. There's really 3 main sections. And next one is this big project that we started a couple years ago that I was focused on for a while, but now I've handed off to Camila to completely overhaul the authoring environment for these question objects. And if that code should work there, it's in the question framework context now, but we have this multiple notebook. Oh no, I guess it doesn't. Okay, that was just merged on Friday.
Okay.
I'm sure there's
okay.
all right. So now we have this multiple notebook paradigm where there's like what I call the quiz notebook, but that's not really what we call it. And from there, you launch independent notebooks for single questions, and then they collapse back into the quiz notebook. So this is a screenshot of like a notebook for an individual question. And you can see.
Why are these separate notebooks? Why are they not opening up within one notebook?
Because it's
horrendously complicated.
Complicated to make them like sections in a notebook.
I see.
Yeah, that's what we tried to do the first time, maybe 4 years ago, with when Steven Schroeder implemented this. And we tried, and it was very difficult. But with this, once we put it into a second notebook, it makes it much nicer. And we have this template selection button at the top is sort of what takes, and I don't love that terminology. So if you want to brainstorm that might be helpful. It basically takes plain text content and turns it into something that will either be either have random variables inserted into it without changing the formatting, or it will have random values inserted and then evaluate.
What do you mean? How do you say which is which?
There's so if you see there's that little drop down, that little arrow on the right, where I wish this would
which arrow
work.
On the right?
So there's 2 inline blobs in this notebook already. What is the derivative of blob? And that blob has a tiny arrow on the right side, right there. So when you clicked that, it would say insert values or insert and evaluate. And you can choose.
I see.
And there's that little icon on the left there, which it's very tiny, but that is supposed to mean insert. And then the blob down below in the correct answer field, that tiny icon on the left is supposed to mean insert and evaluate. There's like a tiny arrow down and tiny arrow right. So it's very minimal. and so people will just have to learn what they mean because it's hard to like
Right.
convey it.
Right. Well, how
obviously.
about tooltips? I mean,
Oh yeah, of course, tooltips as well. Yes.
all right. This is looking nice. I would love to not continue if we don't need to spend more time here.
Okay. Yeah. If you don't see anything that we're on the wrong
I
course
mean,
for,
this is looking like it's going in a good direction. I don't know what I'd like to
Good.
see this when it's in more final form, but this is going to be, I think, a big win.
yeah, I think so too. I thought this was going to work for you today, but we'll figure out why it doesn't. Like I said, we just merged it on Friday, so not
good.
surprising that it's not working.
All right. Good stuff. Well done. Very nice.
All right.
All right. See you all soon.
Bye.
Bye.